Hello, and welcome to the second part of Crossroads. I'm Dee Dee Bridgwater, and it is my pleasure to continue our musical journey into world music and jazz. Jazz is the product of a collision between European and African music, and when jazz traveled back across the Atlantic, it made a major impression on both cultures. As an American jazz singer living in France, I have experienced firsthand the acceptance of jazz in Europe and witnessed its impact on both African and Middle Eastern cultures.
وبنت كازا بنية كازا بنت كازا كل وردة فوق الثلاجة بنات الرابع بنات الرابع بنات الرابع كل حلوة تعلي بابا.
While African musicians have long embraced American jazz, African American musicians have only recently begun to reclaim their ancestral culture. One of the first examples representing African music in jazz is Duke Ellington's composition, Caravan.
In the beginning of jazz, there was sharing stuff between people dancing, between feet, and the music. And this combination is what you find always in Africa. People, they don't listen to the music. People, they dance the music. I mean, they listen to the music by the feet. This is the beginning. And then Western people, they bring harmony. They bring instrument, and the combination of all things, all those influences make jazz.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little trip through the jungles this time, and we want y'all to travel with us. That tiger's running so fast, it's going to take a few choruses to catch him. So I want y'all to count with me. Yes, sir. Me and this little Selma trumpet's going to get away for you this time. Let out there, boys. I'm ready.
Early jazz contained elements of African rhythm and melody, but African Americans had virtually no contact with the mother continent and very little knowledge of Africa except the crude stereotypes conveyed in American Hollywood movies.
Maybe it is only spiritual stuff. It's not a material stuff. Those people, they were thinking about where they were coming. It was not like physical stuff. And don't forget the environment also. And the Tarzan with Hollywood. A lot of people, they were thinking about the Tarzan like Africa. The funny stuff, like when Tarzan came to Africa, I mean the movie, people rushed to see the movie to see where this stuff is supposed to be. It was not in Africa to them. You see? And to the American people and the Western people, the action was supposed to be in Africa, except that for African people, they didn't recognize anything about Africa in the movie. So we cannot say that exactly they had directly African influence. No, but spiritually, yes.
As the civil rights movement gathered momentum, African Americans took a growing interest in Africa's anti-colonial and anti-apartheid struggles. One of the first musical examples of this new awareness was drummer Max Roach's Freedom Now Suite. Nigerian singer and saxophonist Fela Kuti picked up the ideas of the Black Panthers and combined their message with American jazz and African highlife to forge an original style he called Afrobeat. Today, Fela Kuti's musical heritage is carried on by his son, Femi.
The man I looked up to most was my father at the beginning. It was he I saw before I wanted to really become a musician. But he made me listen to Miles Davis. It was like forcing me, really. Charlie Parker, Coltrane, because when I was used to Michael Jackson kind of stuff, funk, Temptations, Donna Summer, Diana Ross, this was what we were listening to on the radio. And when my father said, "You want to be a musician, you have to listen to jazz." So he played jazz for me. I said, "Listen to this? No way."
Every man has his dream. My dream's to see everlasting peace. People smiling in the streets, singing the sweet song of. So I set out to achieve my dream.
African music is about festivity. It's about playing a number, finding a melody, and like playing it on for a long time till it's like it wears out, and that can go on for an hour, 2 hours. And African music is about dancing, colors, and all this. What I am doing now is trying to take a 45-minute number and bringing it down, taking all the parts that I believe not are irrelevant, but if you want, taking the most interesting parts for the listener on the radio especially. If you want to have a hit, you cannot have a 45 minutes. So it's like if the punch was like this, it's now making it like this now.
They said I better wake up from my dream. I better wake up now before I wake up late. But nothing's never ever going to change. Life will always remain the same. Corruption and pressure will never end. I better put that in my head. As long as there's good, I'll always be back. But that's the game of the life we have. So you see, that's the place for my dream. The good is meant to be. But great men have had the same dream. And you had the same way.
West African music is known for its intricate, highly syncopated percussions. For over 20 years, King Sunny Adé has been a leading figure in Nigerian juju, a style that originated in the 1920s.
Well, juju music is a music being created by my ancestors in the late 20s, and is a combination of traditional instruments like the talking drum, the cowbells, the shaker, the maracas, the shaker, and different types of drums. But when it became my own turn, I tried to change those instruments one by one, but I have to find the same tone. Like I changed the African violin to pedestal. And then I changed the big bass drum to trap drums. Then I changed the accordion, they introduced them to keyboard. And when you listen to my music, you can find every music in that juju music. It's just in there.
Talking about Zaire Rumba. Zaire Rumba is that in the early 40s in Central Africa, there was a lot of Cuban music records coming. And naturally, African people, they feel themselves in harmony with this music because there was percussion. You see, what happened is that in Latin countries, they allow African slaves to keep percussion. In North America, they didn't allow them to keep percussion because it was a devil instrument. I was jazz amateur when I was student, but at the same time I was playing at the dancing Saturday and Sunday, and we were playing all the music, going from tango, paso doble, bolero, and really I like all those music. So to me it's not very difficult to go from jazz to makossa, because if the music keep this dance groove, you find Manu there.
Congolese composer, producer, and keyboard player Ray Lema was trained as a classical pianist and church organist. In Paris, he began to interpret traditional Congolese music, becoming one of the most respected musicians on the African scene.
Nazali wayo, mitema mikutani, bona yo désormais, koyenga na yo esili. Nazali wayo, mitema mikabwani, bona yo tembete, koluka na yo esili. Oh, Allah.
Our language
in Africa are very poor in terms of vocabulary. So the whole trick there is the accents. The accents are very, very sophisticated. I give you a very famous example in my language, which is Lingala. Yo Rabih, you see all the accents, then I'm speaking like a spokesman. But it's not a melody. You see all those ups and downs, they're not supposed to be melody. But it's a note that when it's well developed, it creates tons of melodies like a jazz musicians improvising. You won't say, oh my goodness, how many melodies he's playing? No, you're gonna just say, he speaks well.
While West Africa is known for its percussion, South Africa is known for its vocal harmonies. South Africans had a rich tradition in harmonic singing even before the first Europeans arrived. American jazz has been an important influence in South African music since the 1930s and is a key element in Black South African pop music. Mbube, South Africa's most famous song, first recorded in 1939, lent its name to a whole style of choral singing. Here, Mbube is performed by the South African Gospel Choir.
Vocals has always been a very strong part of the society. People are instant composers. You'll be in a situation maybe in a rural area where people would just be gathering around a fire or something like that. And then because of the situation or whatever's happening in that area, someone just composes something and he just sings. And that becomes a vocal song, that deals with the situation that's relevant at the moment, or whether they're having a indaba, which means a meeting, and people would sing about that, whether it be something sad or something happy. Songs are composed instantly, and vocals is very, very strong in South Africa,
Before the coming of white settlers, South Africa was populated by Bantu people, such as the Zulu, Xhosa, and Sotho, who had their own sophisticated systems of polyphonic vocals.
Zulu and Xhosa and Sotho are three different languages. And it's not only 3 languages, we've got about 11 languages, which some of them I can't even understand, I can't even speak. For instance, the Xhosas, they use X's and Q's, like Q's, Qaqa or Umxuxuzi. For instance, the Zulus, they use so much Ngis instead of Ndi. Xhosas, they use Ndi. Ngiyahamba, Zulu. Xhosa, Ndiyahamba. Sotho, ke a tsamaya. Those are different languages and different dialects as well.
When South Africa was ruled by the white minority under the apartheid system, many of the country's most progressive musicians went into exile. The music of the London-based group Township Express is an outgrowth of the township jazz, or jive, that was popular in the black neighborhoods of Cape Town and Johannesburg.
What we naturally do is improvise. Find, in that example we just showed, we went in and everyone did. So to say it is jazz, that I've always felt like, well, no, this is something I grew up with. You know, it's not anything specific. It's something that's always been there. We naturally do it without thinking. Everybody had their harmony. Everybody had their part to play. So I mean, how do you define jazz? How do you feel? Well, you know, I'm asking you the question back now. Please. I'm asking you a question. But it's just a natural, it's a natural progression. You have a voice and you use it. And that is it.
When we say jazz, we think of America and South Africa as separate entities. It is not separate. This is one family. There are a bass player, Leon Bucas, in Cape Town, whose family is from New Orleans. Okay? There's intermarriage. A few years ago, saxophone player Horace Alexander Young from Houston went with us to South Africa, and for the first time in South Africa met his family. Right? And the family Young is descendants from Bishop Young. These were bishops that were sent out by African-American bishops that were sent out from the AME Church. You know? So jazz music for us is not something separate. The church, the music, the spirituals, it's all an integral part because there's a family unity. If you, during the swing era, for example, you couldn't tell the difference whether it was a Count Basie riff or whether it was a South African song. You know what I mean?
Bandi bisa bafana, peso como trolley. Bandi bisa bafana, peso como trolley. Bandi bisa bafana, peso como trolley. Bandi bisa, bandi bisa, bandi bisa, bandi bisa, bandi bisa bafana, peso como trolley. Bandi bisa bafana.
It's basically 32 bar riff, Basie riff, but that's a South African song.
Today is probably South Africa's most popular musical ambassador. By the end of the 1950s, she had become her country's first global star, singing a jazzy blend of Western and South African pop. But because of her outspoken opposition to apartheid, her South African citizenship was revoked, and she was not allowed to return to her homeland for 20 years. The apartheid regime also drove Abdullah Ibrahim into exile, but his music continued to lift the spirits of South Africa's freedom fighters.
The song is called Muniba. Muniba, I wrote it for the first woman I ever saw making salah. I'd never seen a woman making prayer. The first time I said was an incredible, stunning sight. And this song, I wrote some words when it became very popular. So a few years ago, I met this man, and I knew he's an activist, you see, during the time, and I knew that he was arrested and stuff. And he came to the concert, and after the concert, they told me that he was backstage. He came backstage with his wife, and with tears streaming down his eyes, you see. He said to me, "You played Muniba." I said, "Yeah, but it's just part of the program. I don't know." So he says, when they were arrested, you see, they were tortured, and they were kept apart in cells. And the only way that they could communicate with each other was by whistling across the cells. You know, that's how they communicated with the song. Now that is deeper than any review you want to get in any of the newspapers. Huh? And these stories are only coming to light to us now about how the music is affected. There's hundreds of stories that people are coming to us now and telling us about.
Hey, mama, ho. Hey,
Pops Muhammad is part of a new generation of musicians who are reclaiming and revitalizing South Africa's jazz heritage by adding elements of traditional as well as contemporary music.
Hey, mama, ho. Kukule tuna lady Zimbabwe Soweto. Kukule tuna lady Zimbabwe Soweto. Kukule tuna lady Zimbabwe Soweto.
Wazali bo!
That's a song that I use on the karimba, and this is off from my latest album, How Far Have We Come. And this song is dedicated to all the young South Africans who were brutally killed by the South African police in June '76 when the riot started. There was a time when the students were protesting against Afrikaans that was introduced into black schools, and people felt that we're not ready to speak this language yet. And there was a huge protest against that. And as a result of that, a lot of students got killed by police. Some of them were even shot in the back and things like that. I don't know if you're aware of that in June. That's when the revolution, the struggle really started, you know, moving towards a new direction for the new democratic South Africa that we see today. And this song is dedicated to those people who had given their lives for what we are today now.
Today, music knows no boundaries, and as in South Africa, it can help to heal the rifts between different cultures and promote coexistence. Israeli singer Noah, whose parents came from Yemen but who grew up in New York, blends Western and Middle Eastern styles.
Everything that we do arrangementally and musically and production-wise is always to serve the song, because first the song is born. It's born by itself. It's not born through chord changes or through specifically thinking about a genre or a style. It's born because it wants to be born, because it's an idea, a statement, a message, which spills out of your mouth or your fingers one way or another. And then you observe it and say, oh, this song wants to have a little bit of swing in it. This song needs to be rocking, man, because it's rocking, you know. This song should be kept, you know, and that's the way we go. And I know that that's the biggest problem with my music, and I think the greatest beauty, because it's impossible to say exactly what we do. And that's why when you come to the show, you just have to deal with the human being. It's me. This is what I have to give you. You either like it or you don't like it. If you came to listen to a certain genre, then I can't give you that. I can give you my platter of goods.
שירות הבוקח את עיניך, הבוקר עובר, אחר הצהריים מאוחרים, פוקח עיניך, פוקח עיניך, אחר הצהריים מאוחרים.
I love performing with different musicians, and I love traveling to all different places in the world, and I do think that music can make a very, very strong statement about peace and about understanding. I've tried to do collaborations with many Arab artists, and on the most part they say, you know, nice idea, but at home they'll kill us, so we can't do that, you know. And I've been criticized myself for all kinds of stuff that I've done, and many times for my political statements, which have been very radical in the past couple of years and have cost me a lot, career-wise and everything. And every one of us, musicians or people, have to be able to sleep at night with our decisions. You know, you can't go ahead and say, oh, I want peace in my country, I want understanding, but I can't do anything about it. It'll either happen or not happen. If you're not going to do anything about it, how do you expect it to happen, you know? So even if you're a bus driver, a taxi driver, you can do something. And if you're a singer, definitely you can do something, so do it.
In Israel, European music mixes freely with the music of the Middle East. Despite greater resistance, Western music has also filtered into the Arab world. Middle Eastern music is also an ingredient of flamenco, the music of the Spanish gypsies, who preserved the songs of the Arabs and Jews after they were expelled from Spain in 1492. Here, students study traditional dancing at the flamenco school in Puerto de Santa Maria, in the Spanish province of Andalusia, where flamenco was born. adding Latin American forms like tango and rumba to traditional soleas and bulerías, the flamenco repertoire eventually grew to include more than 60 types of song and dance. Needless to say, the Spanish sound did interact with the jazz tradition. It was trumpeter Miles Davis who first brought flamenco into a jazz context on his album Sketches of Spain. Adapting themes from flamenco and Spanish classical music, Davis inspired young musicians like Chano Dominguez, now one of Spain's leading jazz pianists.
Los primeros músicos que en este país que han mezclado el flamenco y el jazz que yo recuerde, de los primeros intentos que se conocen fue el saxofonista Pedro Iturralde, que grabó un disco, creo, un par de discos, con entonces Paco de Algeciras, que hoy en día es Paco de Lucía. Y bueno, creo que mezclaban un poco el flamenco y el jazz. Lo que me parece que en aquella época todavía era como un poco sonaba el flamenco y después sonaba el jazz. No eran las dos cosas una encima de la otra. Después, Paco de Lucia para mí revolucionó todo el flamenco y le dio una nueva dimensión cuando llamó a sus filas a los músicos españoles Carlos Benavent, Jorge Pardo, Rubén Dantas, que bueno, hicieron aquel disco tan famoso de Solo Quiero Caminar. Ese disco me parece a mí que es una puerta muy importante al flamenco con influencias de otras músicas.
Cómo corre la lluvia en el cristal, cómo camina el río hacia la mar. Lore, 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 lore,
Guitarist Paco de Lucia won fame in the 1970s as an accompanist to Camarón de la Isla, the greatest modern flamenco singer. Together they revitalized flamenco, combining breathtaking technique and heart-rending emotions with an eagerness to explore new forms. In 1980, De Lucia recorded Friday Night in San Francisco with jazz fusion guitarist Al Di Meola and John McLaughlin. from Andalusia throughout Spain and Europe, flamenco has become a part of the global music vocabulary, performed by gypsies and non-gypsies alike. Renaud Garcia Fonce, a French bassist and composer, has combined jazz, classical, and flamenco musics on his instrument.
The first thing, I add a string. It's a good way to play chords, for example. And then I try with my finger to make some rasgueados. Two kind of rasgueados. Splashing. And pluck too. And now I can give you an example of Bulería. For example, I compose Bulería, all composition like a falseta, even for the guitar, with Mr. Negrito Trasante.
Con la cuartilla en blanco se pasó la noche mirando sus manos.
Some of the most authentic flamenco is performed at informal gatherings called huelgas. Here, Luis de la Pica sings at a huelga at the home of Chano Dominguez.
Por la soledad de tu sueño hay una luna, hay el espejo donde se mira tu alma. La luna es un rayo en tu ventana.
Born in the Andalusian town of Cadiz, Chano Dominguez has been exposed to flamenco music all his life. In his own work, he applies a highly original keyboard technique to music that blends elements of jazz, classical, and flamenco.
Bueno, voy a tocar una composición mía, pero voy a improvisar un principio tocando el piano de una manera poco usual, con lápiz, y también tapando con las manos, que es algo que en el flamenco, si el piano no se ha visto, eso tampoco es una cosa demasiado común. Entonces, elijo un tono, un acorde, y pulso el pedal central para que solo quede liberada esas notas. Entonces...
As in Spanish flamenco, gypsies played a vital role in the development of the French music called bal musette. Gypsy guitarists like Django Reinhardt introduced swing to the Musette orchestras. In 1934, Django Reinhardt formed the Quintet de Hot Club de France, establishing himself as the most important jazz musician in Europe. Today, his son, Babik Reinhardt, carries on his musical heritage.
Et toutes les musiques ont subi l'influence du pays où ils émigraient. Par exemple, les Tziganes jouent encore cette musique improvisée, mais avec des accents Tziganes. Ouais. Les Espagnols jouent le flamenco. Les gitans français ont été très influencés par la musique de mon père, parce qu'ils ont joué du swing, du jazz. Et c'est la musique de Django Reinhardt qui a changé un petit peu toute la vie musicale des gitans. Et il a commencé à jouer dans les bals musettes. Et dans les bals musettes, à l'époque, on jouait des morceaux, mais on n'improvisait pas. C'était un thème bien défini et on brodait un petit peu autour, mais c'était pas de l'improvisation réelle. Lui a apporté ce genre de choses-là. C'est-à-dire la musique gitane avec un rythme différent et qu'il a imposé dans le musette. Il y a un accompagnement qui est bien spécial, c'est faire, on appelle ça ici faire la pompe, c'est-à-dire voilà, c'est faire les 4 temps avec un swing important, quoi, parce que sinon ça fait pas avancer.
Les harmonies, c'est toujours ouvert.
Voilà, c'est toujours ouvert à l'improvisation.
Together with Django Reinhardt, French violinist Stéphane Grappelli won fame as a member of the Quintet de Hot Club de France. Combining classical technique with a warm sense of swing, Grappelli established a French jazz violin legacy he handed down to Jean-Luc Ponty and Didier Lockwood.
Je crois que le violon est arrivé à petits pas dans le jazz. C'est vraiment un mélange entre l'influence du jazz américain, de toute manière, hein, la musique improvisée américaine. Donc, en fait, pour s'exprimer, le violon, au niveau de l'improvisation, comme instrument soliste, en fait, a commencé à s'exprimer, je pense, à travers des petites formations. C'est ce qui a fait le succès de cette formation un peu mythique française, qui était le quintet du Hot Club de France, Django Reinhardt et Stéphane Grappelli. Je crois que Stéphane a eu vraiment beaucoup d'influence, parce qu'au départ, Stéphane était pianiste. Et Stéphane jouait notamment dans les cinémas muets, il accompagnait les films, donc il a appris ce métier d'improvisateur. Le jazz américain, c'était une révélation pour lui. Et puis tout de suite, ça a été une révélation aussi naturellement pour Django Reinhardt. Hein. Mais ils ont su, à leur manière, avec leur culture, avec leurs différences, faire une musique qui était tout à fait personnelle. La musique de Django Reinhardt et Stéphane Grappelli, le Haut Club de France, présentait vraiment un aspect très français, je dirais, du jazz.
Chanson et musette today are probably the most popular traditional music forms in France. Migrants from the French province of Auvergne brought the musette style to Paris in the 19th century, and Italian immigrants later added the accordion. Today, a jazzier, more modern approach is represented by Richard Galliano, a French accordionist of Italian descent.
Mais la différence, elle est évidente. Même si on utilise le même matériel de base, les mêmes gammes, les mêmes harmonies, la chanson, bien sûr que c'est dédié à la voix. Et le musette, en utilisant le même matériel, c'est plutôt, ça va être joué à l'accordéon ou à la guitare. Donc à partir d'un même thème qui va être chanté, par exemple... Hein, donc un chanteur va chanter simplement la mélodie, puis nous on va jouer autour de ça, on va faire... Donc je me sers des harmonies et du même matériel, mais ça serait très difficilement chantable, quoi. C'est très difficile de disséquer la musique je pense que disséquer les styles de musique comme ça, c'est un peu détruire les choses lorsqu'on explique. Parce que finalement, une valse musette, il y a une valse musette qui s'appelle Pigalle, je crois. Et je vais vous jouer le thème très simplement. C'est à Paris, ça s'appelle. Est-ce que c'est parisien ou méditerranéen?
C'est arabe, ça.
Ça, c'est arabe. Si on parle du blues, si on parle du musette, ce sont vraiment des musiques de fusion qui donnent naissance à quelque chose de nouveau. Mais je crois qu'il n'y a rien de plus moderne que la tradition, finalement.
Ouais.
Parce qu'en partant de la tradition, je crois qu'on part avec une force déjà, et puis ça peut aboutir on ne sait où, quoi.
Paris today is a musical melting pot where sounds from around the globe mingle with France's own traditions. Here, Richard Galliano and bass clarinetist Michel Portal play one of Michel's compositions, Mozambique, fusing elements of musette music and free jazz with African and Brazilian flavors. Today, jazz has become a universal art form. All around the globe, it crosses cultural borders and combines with different styles to create new sounds. As we enter the new millennium, we can look forward to many more musical encounters at the crossroads of our world's cultures.
Thank you.